Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Backlog Breakdown, a video game podcast where we seek to encourage and equip the church to engage the video games medium. Oh boy, I botched this. I'm so good at talking. To engage the medium of video games wisely and responsibly, or as I am prone to say, when I can talk, wisely and well. I'm one of your hosts, Nate, and with me today, as per the usual, is my co-host, my friend, and my brother in Christ, Josh Brocklow.
Hey,
hi,
buddy.
Josh. What's up,
How's
dude?
it going? Yeah, doing all right. Doing all right. Lots going on. Life is kind of crazy, but happy to be here.
Happy
Talk about
to
all
be
kinds
here.
of things. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be on my game this evening. You know, I don't know. You might be thankful, but I might not be as quick-witted. I might not have as many puns.
Listen. I will try not to enjoy it too much because I know you aren't feeling well.
Yeah.
And I don't like that part. I do like the part that I won't be subjected to your awful jokes and complete lack of sense of humor.
I think you're going to have to be the star of this episode because I don't think I can do it very well this time. But we'll see. We'll see if you're the star.
You suck. Here, you threatened me with a good time and you lied to me. You lied to me. Everybody knows. Anyways, but Josh, I have an important question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and everybody knows it's coming, but I want to know how it's been since we last spoke.
Yeah,
dude, I think I don't know. It's like there was an echo in the room there.
Yeah. You've gotten it down. You know, it's pitch perfect. I think you've heard that song a few times at least at this point.
Just that half a second clip is just it's like burned into. It's like I'm gonna be a dementia ridden dude, and somebody's gonna come up to me and I'm gonna ask him how it's been, and yeah.
I was going to say I look forward to those days. No, I don't quite look forward to those days, but I do. That would be quite funny. That's all that I mean. Anyways, so it has been good. It has been good since our last chat, our last podcast. It has just been very, very busy. We've had things planned almost every night going on. So between we had a citywide worship gathering last week, so we've had some rehearsals for that. I've been heading up a search team at our church. We're looking for a family pastor, and so I've had calls and interviews and things like that going on. And then sickness has hit us, so it bounced from kids, and then Samantha's been down for the better part of a week now. And now I'm starting to feel under the weather. So hopefully, because I'm preaching on Sunday, hopefully I will be able to muddle my way through that. But it's busy, but it's good. It's all good things. So I'm doing good. How's it been for you?
It's been pretty good. I did fall the other day. It was and that's probably the first time, and it was serious enough to where I was a little concerned. So it was I think it was actually yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, it was yesterday. And it was cold in the morning, and we had a little bit of snow and ice in the morning.
Okay.
And then it started to warm up and it was raining. And on the sidewalks. Yep. Anyways, and for the most part, I had dodged most of it, but there was one where it was as soon as I put my foot down, I was like, oh no. And I was like, oh no. It's oh, that's not a great step. And then it was I got it. And then there was kind of this moment where it's almost there was a single moment where it's oh no. And Morgan Freeman's narration popped up to the back of my head where it's he in fact did not have it, kind of thing that wonderful, sort of it was and it was the next thing I know, I'm laying on my back. Ugh. There's a bunch of mail everywhere.
Ooh,
I went oof. I whacked my head on a stone. And then now my body kind of hurts, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like actually I was telling someone else, I said actually like years ago, I fell on some ice and I don't think I blacked out long, but like this is years, this is like almost 10, this is like probably almost 10 years ago.
Okay.
But like I fell on some ice and this is early on, but it's like, and I fell and like I was there and I don't think I blacked out long. It was like I maybe blacked out for a couple seconds, but like I do remember like I whacked my head hard enough on that one where it's like I kind of was like and it was like I like maybe blacked out for like a second or two. That one was, I was nervous that whole day.
Yeah.
I was
you got
like
a concussion, man.
Yeah, I was kind of like I was waiting for like the sleepies to hit or something, and I was gonna be like, oh no.
Yeah.
I've concussed myself. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yesterday wasn't that big a deal. But you know what we had for dinner tonight is there's a place in town that does stir fry. It's a ramen and stir fry place. And they do like stir fry ramen noodles, and that's really like you get just like it's like you get like ramen style noodles and anyways. So we get that, but we're in this whole thing where like as a family we're not spending more money than like we're bare essentials. So it's like we're buying groceries and stuff like that. But we cashed in my Megan's stepdad, so one of my fathers-in-law.
Okay.
He was like, for our Christmas present, he was like, I'll take you guys out to dinner. And it was like
nice.
We cashed that in. So dude, it's like Takumi is like one of our favorite places.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, and it's like, you want to go get some noodles? And it's like your treat. And he was like, yeah, let's go get some noodles. My treat. So that was cool. It's like,
that's awesome.
Get to eat. So that's
awesome.
We had
Byron
like
a fan of noodles.
He likes the noodles. And what we actually do is like, so like if it's just us, the order is like she gets her stir fry, I get my sometimes she gets ramen. But like I'll get a stir fry, and then we'll get a plate of, they do a really good chicken fried rice. And so we take a little bit of chicken fried rice and we put that on his plate. And then we put some noodles on his plate, and he just like kind of like eats all of it. So he's awesome. He's a good eater for the most part when he wants to be. He's also 3, which is like just the absolute worst age for a human being. Like it's like he goes 3 and then teenagers, and I'm like, I don't like you very much. That's not true. I mean, it is kind of true, but not really. I will always love my son, and I will probably always like him, even when I don't like him. But yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
That 3-year-old thing, man. It's like it's really cool because like he's really fun, and his little personality is just like it's coming out like you're getting like full bore Byron, and it's like, oh, okay, dude, what's up, But also, woo. Sometimes I'm like,
Nice. Well, I'm sure he's had lots of fun experiences, and it sounds like the noodles were a fun experience as well. I think we've got a few more experiences to share, don't we?
Sure.
Right, the best of what we've been into lately, where we share some experiences from media and other forms of entertainment, which I suppose is not what I've come to the table. One is definitely pure entertainment. You know what? I'll start with a pure entertainment. Why not? I sent this video to you before we got started. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it. But I
got about halfway through it.
yeah. You get the point.
That was fun. You know why it's funny? Because it's true. Because I have looked at that same thing and been like, what? Like, which one is it?
Yeah. because it can't be both. Anyways, Ben Lapidus is the guy's name. He made this song called PetSmart. There's a link for that. However you're listening to this, description, show notes, whatever it is. I'll throw a link in there and you can watch the video. The reason I think that makes it even funnier is it's like a legitimate hardcore song. You know, like it sounds good. Like his vocals are done really well, you know, real gritty, and there's the distortion on it and all that stuff.
Or is this a mart for pets?
Yes, exactly. And so I found it earlier today. I did check out some more of his stuff, and he's got some material that I cannot recommend. I'll put it that way. But the PetSmart video is really good, and I liked it a lot. So that is just pure entertainment that I found earlier today that I figured I wanted to share my experience with it because I thought it was funny. In terms of not entertainment, I guess, sort of entertainment. I don't know. I'm not gonna make any pot shots. Okay. But I have been digging into eschatology lately. So one of the things actually that's happened recently is the lead pastor at our church, he just had his ordination council this past week, and I was able to sit on that. And so he got grilled a bit on his eschatology, excuse me. It did make me realize, like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't have the finer points of my eschatology worked out either. And so I've been looking, and I don't know all of the finer points of all the different views. And so I've been watching some stuff on that. So I don't want to take a long time with this, but even the association, the denomination, whatever, that we're a part of, the EFCA, up until I believe it was 2019, in our statement of faith, it used to be the fact that the return of Christ is premillennial used to be in the statement of faith. It was actually something that my wife and I, when we became members at our previous EFCA church, we took issue with that. Like in our elder interview for membership, like we said, hey, we don't agree to that. Like we'll agree to everything else, but just that one word, we don't agree with that. And long story short, it was kind of on its way out. It just needed to be made official within the association. So that has changed. So anyways, there is a lot of dispensationalism within the denomination, the association. And I don't know that much about it, if that makes sense. Like I know some of it, but not all of it. And so anyways, I've been primarily just watching videos at this point. So some of the things that I would recommend, there was a panel that Keith Foskey did. If you know who he is, he does the Your Calvinist podcast. His tagline is, he's not like other Calvinists, he's nice. But he does this thing called the bow tie dialogues, where he gets people on that he disagrees with and he has them explain their views. And so he did this with dispensationalism. He got like 4 different I'll say scholars of dispensationalism, and they explained it. So that was very helpful. They had a lightning round at the very end that some of those questions, I was just like, oh wow, I'm surprised that is a belief, because everything like up to that point was reasonable in the way that like I can understand how you get there. Like I disagree with it, but I understand how you get there now, whereas I didn't before. But then some of the conclusions, I will say, I disagree with pretty heartily. So anyways, I'll throw a link for that in the description, show notes, whatever. In terms of amillennialism, which is where I find myself, I've been listening through a series from Kim Riddlebarger. It's just called Amillennialism 101. And I'd listened to these through before. My dad had actually given me MP3s years and years ago. And that's when I was like, yeah, this makes sense. I'm amillennialist. So I'm re-listening to those. You can find those on YouTube. The volume's pretty low, but anyways, those are good to get an idea of amillennialism. And also there is a book that is completely free. There's an author, his name is Vern Poythress. He has like all his books on his website for free. I think it's like Frame Poythress. So it's John Frame and Vern Poythress have a ton of books that are just free. So his is called The Returning King, and that is a commentary, kind of explanation of an amillennialist interpretation of the book of Revelation. And so that has been helpful as well. So that's what I've been looking into. I was also recommended a book by Kenneth Gentry that I have ordered, but I have not gotten in yet. And that would be covering postmillennialism. So
Sam Storms, if you're looking for, is really good on amillennialism as well.
Okay.
Kingdom Come is the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
I'm just like, I have a copy somewhere.
Mhm.
I'm trying to just sort of, it runs for like, woo. Like you could, the paperback version for some reason is almost $160, but you
Whoa.
can get a hardcover copy for like $30 on
Okay. Yeah.
the Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'll say also, I mean, while I would not spend $160 on a book, there is a budget for that because I'm a pastor on staff. Like we have a budget for personal development. So, theology books I can get under that stuff. So, anyways, so that's what I've been into lately. And those are the experiences that I want to share. What experiences do you have to share?
Well, I put a note in here earlier in the notes. Like you said, hey, Nate, I posted some notes, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I saw Perry Grip. I wanted, like, I love Perry Grip. Sometimes we put Perry Grip on it. Like, It's Raining Tacos. It's like, that's a certified, like, that's a dance party in the kitchen, with, at least where I'm involved. Like, but Perry Grip, he was, I can't remember the band that he was in. I'll look that up.
They're called Nerf Herder.
Yeah, he was in Nerf Herder. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So yes. But like, dude, it's like, and I actually was exposed to him, his side project stuff with years ago when G4, before it like came back and sucked again.
Okay.
But like the first time, where Olivia Munn got her start, there was a video called, like, he did a music video called "The Girl at the Video Game Store," and she was in that.
Really?
And
oh, wow.
I mean, it's mostly tame-ish. I mean, like, she's dressed very.
Yeah, they played that up at G4 with Olivia Munn all the time. Yeah. But that's
But yeah, and I used to love that song. I was like, I saw some of his other stuff, and I was like, oh, this is so funny.
So I had that on my list because we've been jamming that a lot lately, and I couldn't remember if I had recommended him before, and I was pretty sure that I had. So that's why I took him off the list here. But yes, big fans of Perry Grip. The whole family love his stupid songs that are just stinking earworms, man. Dude, they're really well done.
They're just so dumb, but they are so much fun. It's like, and it is kind of one of those things where it's like, he's just gonna sing mostly about food.
Food and animals. Yeah.
Food and animals.
Space unicorns.
Soaring through the stars. Soaring through the stars. Yes. It's raining tacos.
Yeah. Exactly. It's good stuff. Yeah. Big fans of Perry Grip.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I saw that and I just wanted to like shout that out because, like, listen, I love Perry Grip. It's a good time. He is, like I said, he's often sort of like, we kind of pull that out and
Yes.
I just downed I know I usually go with the orange cream, but I wanted to change it up. And so we went with this. The Warheads Sour Green Apple Ghost Energy.
Okay.
And I pretty much like drained the whole thing way quicker than I thought it would. That's a problem.
Nice.
Also, but as far as what I've been into, there's a book that came out not too long ago by Keza McDonald called Super Nintendo. And it's a little bit of like the history of Nintendo kind of thing. And it's just sort of, it seems a little anecdotal, but it's kind of just, it's an examination of Nintendo and its history and its impact culturally and stuff like that. I'm a few hours into it. It's pretty good. I don't know that there's too much material in there that I didn't know so far, but it's been good. Like, it's just like, it's fun. It's, so far, like I said, the jury's still out, we'll see how they finish, but, Keza McDonald, and I'm pretty like she narrates it. I think it's a she. I don't know this person. They have like a,
Okay.
I don't know who Keza McDonald is. Sorry.
Sure.
Like I'm just a horrible, but I'm pretty sure it's a she. She narrates it.
Okay.
And but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that one out.
But yeah, so I like that book so far. I haven't really started this book, but it is on my radar, and it's something I want to read. It's called Keeping Kids Christian by Cameron S. Schaefer. It's actually recommended reading from my pastor. He we have books for the church, like to sort of read together kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he made sure that he gave Megan a copy the other week, and he said, "You can read this whenever you want, Megan, but tell Nate it's mandatory reading for him." I was like,
Love it.
I was like, gee, thanks. So that is on my radar. Hopefully, I might sit down with that tomorrow and sort of like chew through a chunk of it. But yeah,
Sweet.
that's something that is like I haven't really been into, but I ought to get into it. That's more of like that's like a half thing.
Sure.
But dude, I just want to talk about this. Like, I think we've mentioned this before, but the Scrubs reboot is live. I've been hearing some good things about it, that mostly it's just more Scrubs. And I'm kind of like, I'm okay with that. So, but I'm going to finish Farscape, and Farscape isn't super long. There's like 3 seasons and then sort of a mini series, I think, to sort of wrap up all the loose ends. So it's like, I'm most of the way through the 2nd season. But I want to finish Farscape. I am watching some anime, but none of it's like really like stand out enough to like talk about.
Sure.
It's like, it's kind of like, it's anime. It's just like, unfortunately, like I'm weeaboo trash. So, yeah. Sorry. But all that being said, yeah. So that's what I've been into. Yeah, like I said, I don't have any like hard recommends. Like Farscape is still cool, people. Like honestly, if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, like check it out. It's peak 90s sci-fi, and it's like cool. It's like Jim Henson Studio does the Muppets. We talked about it the other week with Paul. So I'm just like, yeah, I love Farscape. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is
nice.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Like the creature design is just so cool. So cool.
Okay. Okay.
So
sweet. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll need to check it out someday. I've heard lots of good things, but I've also heard really good things about Babylon 5 and various Star Treks, and I haven't finished them. And
this is what I would say. All right,
sci-fi to watch.
Like Babylon 5, Star Trek, that tends to be a little more cerebral.
Yes.
Like Farscape is much more like adventure television.
Okay.
Right. And
so more similar to something like oh my goodness, why can't I think of it? It was my goodness, the one that everyone really loves but got canceled after a single season, and then they did Serenity.
Serenity.
What's the name of that show?
Firefly.
There you go, Firefly.
Yeah. It's even less. It's even less. It's a little more. It's not. It doesn't even like go that hard in the paint. Like like Serenity and Firefly are a little more earnest. I think like it's just like because that's like Firefly is kind of like I don't know. It's like a space western. And I think it tends to be like. Sense. But yeah, no, they're comparable. I think, like I said,
cool.
Now, the one thing, there is a bit of a content warning. So there's one alien in particular who it turns out is actually a giant plant, but like there is a scene where you see blue alien butt, and it's just a woman in body paint or whatever,
sure,
or something like that. Like, and it's like
yeah.
So
like a Mystique kind of a thing.
Kind of a Mystique thing, where it's like,
wish this was not here, but it is.
Yeah, but it's, and there's like, this is definitely like, It's definitely PG-13 as I've gone through it. It's like it's
Okay.
not every episode. Like most episodes I would say are like pretty like suitable for family viewing, ish, but there's a few where I'm just like, ugh. And most of it's like going to go right. Like most of it is stuff that's going to go right over a kid's head. Right.
Okay.
But most of it. So
sure.
I love Farscape, but again, like, some of it is like, it's peak 90s sci-fi. So not all of it is appropriate for younger audiences.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So then is it akin to something like, I'm sorry to keep dragging this on, but akin to like The Fifth Element?
Yeah, that's probably a good touchstone.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Like some of that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Without the budget, like Fifth Element's got it.
Right. Yeah. That was yeah.
Dude, Fifth Element, man. I love that movie. It is so dumb, but I love that movie.
It has been quite a while since I've seen it, but it certainly makes an impression. That's for sure.
Chris Tucker in that, just like absolute psycho.
Yeah. Yes.
That's true. Okay, moving on.
That's true.
But we are a video game podcast. So let's talk about some of what we've been playing lately.
Yeah. So speaking of being an absolute psycho, I have picked up some games, one of which is Lord of the Rings Gollum on PC.
Got him.
And they're right.
Gollum.
Yeah.
Gollum.
Oh man, yeah, the Hobbit cartoon is so good. Anyways, picked it up because it is a patron pick for the year. So even though I picked it up, I'm not counting it against my my pickups for the year. It's a podcast game, so I'm not gonna take any points for purchasing it. I'm not gonna take any points if I end up beating it. It's just a wash. So I did pick that one up. The other game that I picked up though, that was actually just earlier today. I've done a lot today actually. Is Pokemon Fire Red. So, and this was largely because of our conversation last week, or the last time we got together, is the conversation about emulation. And I wanted to put my money where my mouth is, talking about like, hey, I want to encourage companies when they actually put out old games, like when they release ROMs for purchase. Pokemon Fire Red is a game that I have put on emulation machines before, and so I wanted to actually own it, so I picked it up. So I did take a point for the purchase of that on the Switch.
Good
online.
On you, man.
So, not planning on unnecessarily playing it anytime soon, but I am stoked that it's up for purchase, and I think that's cool. So, purchase that. The games that I have been playing, and actually they're all just games that I finished. So I finished up Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Again, feels kind of, you get a little chill when you say that out loud. But I understand why this is such a highly
that probably recontextualizes the entirety of the baby oil level.
It's
that baby oil level just super
just
you're just like, I can't play this anymore.
Right. There's
was that too much? Was that too much?
It just gives me a little bit of a chill. But the game itself is quite good. It certainly gets challenging. I'll say, especially kind of the final boss section. But I like it most when it's at its most challenging. I say that there were certain formats of levels that I didn't quite enjoy. There are levels that you get stuck to, like you have to jump. You can't actually walk or run because you get stuck in honey. There's that. And there are levels where you have to race as a parrot. So you're kind of like flying through stuff, sort of like a Balloon Kid or something like that, where that's not as fun to me. But there are certainly a variety of different types of levels, which is cool. There's so many stinking collectibles throughout the game that I did not spend time collecting. I got a handful of them and then I'm good. But I did go ahead and finish the game, rolled credits on it, so I get a -1 for finishing up that one. And then I went ahead and borrowed a game from my local library. And that game is in anticipation of a future episode sometime this year. That game is Link's Awakening on Nintendo Switch. I don't because I anticipate a future episode on it. I don't want to talk about it that much, except to say that it is on my top 10 for a reason. I really, really love this game, and I quite enjoyed this Switch remake version of it. I do think the original has a little bit of an edge. That might just be nostalgia talking, but they're both charming in different ways, and I think I enjoy the charming of the original more. But they're both great. I actually just finished this one up just this evening. I was on the seventh dungeon, and then I had some extra time because of the way the things have shaken out this evening.
That is the dungeon that I have basically the tower.
Yes.
That is the dungeon that I basically like sort of stalled out on for like the last 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. You're grabbing.
It's not my favorite dungeon.
The metal ball and throwing it against the whatchamacallit, the pillars in order to smash it down. Yeah, I get it. I did, and then the final dungeon, I did have to use markers on the map so that I knew where the different staircases led to. But man, I really like Link's Awakening. I finished it up, rolled credits on it, and ending is so good. Really enjoy the game, and I am taking a flex point because technically it's a replay because it's like the same game.
I don't know. I think you could get away with just taking a full point on that.
Well, so I didn't purchase it, so it's either a borrow or a replay. Like either way, it's a negative point.
Okay, yeah.
I don't own it, so yeah. So I'm getting a negative point for that. So it's 2 negative points for beating both of those games, and then a positive point for picking up Pokemon. So I am currently at -5 for the year. That's where I'm sitting.
Cool.
What you been playing, dude?
As far as playing, it's sort of the same old sort of Destiny 2 Marvel Snap.
Oh, okay.
Now, Snap though is kind of like, I say this and we'll sort of see. It's like, because like I say this every time, but it's like this.
You done with it?
I think I might be. Like I was playing a little bit earlier today, and I was like, yeah, because it's like I didn't buy the season pass card this month because we're not spending money this month and all this other stuff, and I was like, it's just not as much fun without the new shiny.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's kind of we'll see, but yeah. But I too am sort of like I turn on Link's Awakening and I'm like, I'm gonna finish this, and then I don't. I get distracted because I have a squirrel brain, where it's like, so yeah, like, but also BioShock Infinite, in prep for that upcoming episode, I need to just sit down and sort of like chew through that. But the one, and I actually have been playing this for a few weeks now, but it's Wolong Fallen Dynasty. It's by Team Ninja, so the same team that's done Neo 1, 2, and 3. It's a Souls-like type game. It's a Neo type game, right?
Okay.
But it's set in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms saga kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I just like these games. I have issues as a general rule. Like I think like the loot system in these games leaves a fair amount to be desired. There are some just like quality of life things I wish they would do a little bit differently. But that one of the things is like, I think in some ways, like, I wanted to say that I like this more than FromSoft games.
Okay.
But I think like, dude, like, yeah, I was on that episode, the big discussion for Quick Play a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And we sort of were talking about Souls likes and stuff on that. And it kind of came up that a lot of times, like when it comes to just Souls type games, like a lot of times it is just like the FromSoft games. But I'm like, I really actually think like Team Ninja has carved out a really healthy little niche that's comparable. Like it's similar in sort of, it's got that same like difficulty, the scaling difficulty, like the sense of mastery. But sometimes I actually think I kind of like the Team Ninja games combat a little bit better.
Okay.
I think, I don't know yet, but yeah, anyways, Wolong's cool.
Nice.
If you If you like Neo 1 and 2, like Neo 3, and you haven't played Wo Long yet, I would recommend it.
Nice. I get that one confused with Black Myth Wukong.
Yes.
when you first
But
mentioned it. Yeah.
Dude, it's like Outer Wilds and the
In
Outer Worlds. Like
yeah.
it's like this is just stupid. Why did we name these things?
Yeah.
But as far as pickups, nothing, and again, like hopefully that'll, I haven't even picked up like podcast game stuff yet. Wrap ups,
Okay.
haven't beaten anything yet. I need to just like, it's just kind of like the first couple months of the year just usually tend to be a little for me.
Sure.
So that my beatdown score is still at 0. Yeah. And but anyways, you guys are saying, hey, what are these extra numbers that you're talking about, Nate and Josh? Well, for anybody who's been, a lot of you probably aren't asking that question, but if you're sort of new to the podcast, what we're talking about is we run a meta all year long called the Backlog Beatdown. You're listening to the Backlog Breakdown. The Facebook page is called the Book Club. That nobody uses that anymore. That makes me kind of sad. A little sad, but it's like we're over in Discord, so that's fine too.
Yeah.
But anyways, but this is the beatdown, and the basic goal here, the too long didn't read kind of version of this, is that when you beat games, you score negative points. When you buy games or acquire games, you get positive points. Sort of, you want to take away from your backlog. You want to beat down your backlog. So you're going to use those negative points to drive that score down into the negatives, thereby taking away from your pile of shame kind of thing. That's it's a little more nuanced that we actually think like the rule set as a general, like in general, is actually in a pretty good place. We still need to sit down with John and finalize that rule set for this year. I don't think, but that's the thing. It's like, it's not really that different. I think there's like a couple little things that are more just
clarifications. Yeah.
Yes. More than, there's no major changes. So the rule set for 2025 is pretty much still the default. Again, we have the locked and loaded list bonus and all that stuff. But yeah, anyways, if that sounds at all appealing to you, like, hey, DM us, email us, get a hold of us on the Discord. We'll get you a copy, and you can sort of like, you can join us in the Discord and like hang out with us. There's a whole channel dedicated to that in there. But in addition to all that, some other things that you might be interested in, like so many other podcasts, we do have a Patreon. You could look at it as a tip jar. You could look at it as a way to partner with us as we sort of seek to build this thing out. Again, our mission here is to encourage and equip the church to engage with video games wisely and well. Okay. So, if you like that, feel free to sort of join us over there. And, our patrons, there are perks. So each patron gets early and uncut access to each and every episode. There's a special role in the Discord. And in a lot of ways, the patrons help us shape the future of the podcast. They nominate topics. We just wrapped up voting on games, patron pick games, and we like to have them on here and hang out with them, and they help chop up, a bunch of different topics. They get access to our calendar and our schedule, so they can sort of see what's on the docket. And again, there's sort of an open invite for them if they want to hop on. If they're paying attention, they can sort of, we try to make that happen. And, in addition to that, all those things, there's a patron exclusive podcast called The Bro Hang. It tends to be a lot more, informal, a lot more conversational, sort of just like stream of consciousness, kind of like shenanigans. So if any of that at all sounds interesting to you or worthwhile, feel free to, there's a link in the show notes. Jump on there and join us. We'd love to have you. Other things that, finally, lastly, but surely not leastly, we are proud members of the Playwell Network alongside all of our friends, Paul Lytle, aka the Techno Funk Boy, Wesley Ray, the Henshin Dad himself, Porcho, aka Nicholas Porch, aka the Wonder from Down Under, and Mark Erickson. Each one of these guys creates content that explores and wrestles with the idea of playing well. Okay. And we love these guys. We love their content. and we think you ought to check it out. So here's a word from one of them.
LRT and Gates is a podcast about my upcoming heroic fantasy, tabletop role-playing, and novel project. As we have the Kickstarter this spring and work begins for the full game and novel that goes with it, I'm going to be podcasting my thoughts about game design, about adventure, about storytelling, and the ideas that are going into the game and the ideas that inspired me to write in it in the first place. We'll also have some real gameplay and stories from the world of LRT. LRT and Gates is available wherever you get podcasts.
And we're back. All right. So today, whatever time you're listening to this, good morning, good afternoon, good night kind of thing. We will be talking about Sea of Stars.
Right.
It's a little indie JRPG that, made some waves a few years ago.
Yeah.
And Josh, you recently finished up a playthrough. I was an early supporter.
Yep.
And so we're going to have a bit of a conversation on this. Now you wrote in here the indie JRPG that aims for the stars and hits the moon. So to be fair, the moon hitting the moon is still pretty stinking good.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
and that's what I wanted to convey. So I do think that this is a good game. But I think there's a lot of potential that was not fully realized, at least for my experience. I say that it's funny. I was listening just earlier today, the Resonant Arc podcast, an older episode where they were talking about critiquing things and the difference between opinion and like objective fact. And so it is my opinion that it does not kind of stick the landing. For me, it did not have the impact that I kind of wished that it would have. And so I see some things that, man, I just wish they would have tightened up.
There are some weaknesses. I think, just to sort of, I think overall this is a pretty strong game. It's a pretty good game, especially I think it's one of the more interesting releases over the last couple of years. But yeah,
especially from an indie studio. And I totally understand that this style of game is not that prevalent. Obviously, JRPGs are all over the place. Okay, I'm not saying that about JRPGs, but this kind of pixel art style, it is very reminiscent of Super Nintendo games. It does things better. Sort of like Shovel Knight was reminiscent of NES games. Like, obviously, an NES could not run Shovel Knight. Obviously, a Super Nintendo could not run Sea of Stars. But it is really cool that they went for this aesthetic, this kind of wrapping for the game, and took a lot of inspiration from a number of different Super Nintendo greats.
Yeah, I think like just, one of the things is I think it is really, it is a role-playing game. And just sort of to cover some basics, it was released in 2023, developed and published by Sabotage Studio. I think, actually, I think Devolver. I thought Devolver was the publisher.
I Am 8-Bit is what it says on the back of the box.
I think I Am 8-Bit did the...
Is that just the physical?
The physical.
Okay.
I know that they did something with... that Devolver was part of this, but anyways,
okay,
because like part of their whole story is they pitched this to Devolver, or maybe that was Messenger. Maybe this was self-published. Messenger. Anyways, this is the same studio behind the Messenger,
right?
Which is also a really clever game, and I think like that's the thing. This is a really clever game. It's an absolute love letter to like that 90s, early aughts era JRPG kind of like vibe. It's got Super Mario RPG, Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger references. Like it kind of pulls from all the greats. And then adds a few things as well. So I think this is a really special game in a lot of ways. But it is kind of one of those things. I don't think it quite sticks to landing. I think it's a really good game, borders on being great, but ultimately, I sort of, in hindsight, like just sort of full disclosure, like I didn't go back to it at all. I remember really loving it when I was playing it. I remember very little of the story, and I actually had to rely on like some YouTube videos and chat GPT sort of summaries to sort of get me caught back up. And I was like, oh yeah. So I think that's kind of one of the things. I think the story is just kind of like not great. It's good. It's passable, but I don't think it really sticks. Now there are some really outstanding things here. And so, you know, I don't want to sort of like crap all over this. So let's talk about some of like the you know, the spoiler free kind of beats here that we can sort of talk about. Like you have in the notes here, and I think this is a great place to start. But the visuals, like I think like it's a really beautiful, well animated pixel art, like lots of style. Like the world has a lot of life to it. There's a lot of really like I think it's a gorgeous game.
Yes. Completely agree.
The most part, character design is like it's like a 9 out of 10. You know, there might be a miss or two somewhere in there, but as a general rule, I think like the game looks good. It has, you know, it has a unique design language even within pixel art. Like, you know, like it doesn't look like generic pixel art. It has its own feel and vibe. And I think like, so
it's very colorful as well. And it has a dynamic lighting engine. Now, I wish they would have used that more throughout the game. But they do use it sometimes. And the lighting like brings out the different colors of the world. It is a very vibrant world. So in terms of pixel art, it's one of the best looking games ever. You know, it's not 2D. It's not the HD 2D style. That's different. But what it does, taking again those Super Nintendo kind of looks, and just having a world that you constantly have things kind of moving in the background and little creatures over here and the wind blowing and the sun rising and all this stuff. And again, it's very colorful. And yes, there are areas which are dark and dank, but those are in contrast to the really beautiful, colorful, tropical islands.
Yeah, and even the darkness, there's like the shadows and stuff like there's a richness there as well. You know, it doesn't exist in contrast solely. It sort of like it stands out on its own merit, and I think in a lot of ways there too. You sort of touched on this, but like actually this is really great. Like I think to sound and sound design stuff we need to talk about. So the soundtrack the primary composers were Eric Brown, who was a relative unknown prior to this, but Yasunori Mitsuda did some tracks. Famed composer from Chrono and Zeno, worked on Shadow Hearts and a few other things. This is like he didn't do all the tracks, but he did some. And like I think as a general rule, the music in this is like really, really great soundtrack.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't think I appreciated it as much through most of my playthrough, but as I've gone back and watched videos and seen different things or loaded up the game, the tracks do stand out. Yeah, as I'm listening to them again, and I agree. It's a really good soundtrack.
One of the other things to point out is that Eric Brown actually took into account, like one of the things I was watching the documentary and sort of on the making of Sea of Stars, and one of the things he talks about, I'm pretty sure it's him at least, but he talks about how like when he was approaching sound design for this, he wanted to sort of like, he's like, real life isn't quiet, and so like there's always like, he's sort of like, I think without sort of dipping into like ambient noise too much, but like he kind of mimics some of what helps sort of make this world sort of come alive is the fact that there are sort of like almost like natural type sounds in the background all the time. And I think that's really cool as well. So that's another one. And it's like, it's, you know, Eric Brown does like a lot of really cool chiptune stuff. So yeah, I think the music is pretty standout. Like
I agree.
Like I said, and just again, Yasunori Mitsuda, is like, that's like, what an absolute get on that stuff.
No kidding. Yeah, that he's able to because as we mentioned, this is an indie game. You know, it's not a AAA. So the fact that they were able to have him in this love letter to those games that he's made in the past that he contributed, that's super cool.
I think one of the other just absolutely outstanding things, and we've sort of talked about it, is the battle system, like the mechanics, the dungeons, the traversal. Let's just pause for a minute on just talking about like just the battles and the systems. Okay. There's a lot going on here like that. Whereas I think like when it comes to sort of like equipping characters and character customization and stuff like that, the game tends to be a little basic.
Definitely.
But it makes up for that in the fact that, like, you know, combat is actually really rich. So it's got that active, like the active pressing mechanic where it's like the timing mechanic from Super Mario RPG, where it's like, you know, when you're defending, when you're attacking, you can actually, with the proper timing on button presses, you can actually increase damage reduction or damage output, you know. And there's also, so you've got that, but then you've also got the lock system, which is that when bosses or even certain enemies are using particularly powerful moves, there will be like a sequence. And so it's like you have like sword, hammer, moon, star, or moon, sun. I think like you get a bunch of different damage time. Like, and so it's like, and if you can get that, if you can knock out all those things in sequence, you stall the attack. So it's almost kind of like a Bravely Default or an Octopath kind of thing, where it's like you by sort of triggering the right, you know, again, attack sequences, you can break the enemy character. And I like that. I remember really liking that. Like, I think that was the thing. I thought that was like a cool little wrinkle where it kind of, again, it's like, I think one of the beautiful things about this game is that so many RPGs do tend to be turn-based RPGs as a general rule, tend to be like just, you know, navigating through menus. But this is kind of like, I was talking about this, you know, I've talked about this when I played Clair Obscur Expedition 33, that I loved like the parry and dodge mechanic. And I just wish they would have pressed in a little bit further. And actually, I think what they did with Sea of Stars is actually, in some ways, you know, more of what I was looking for. Just like a little more interactive. And it's not perfect, but I think it's pretty great. You know, it does have like the double text and sort of like triple text adjacent kind of stuff, similar to Chrono Trigger. But you did point out that like the characters don't ever learn solo skills. It's pretty much they get their moves and then that's it.
Yeah, they stay with the same, and I say that I think maybe the main characters like do, you know, from the very beginning of the game. I do think they learn theirs, but every other character that you get, they have their standard. I believe it's just 3 skills per character, and so it is really odd. Now that said, you do have a lot of different options, especially as the mechanics, as the battle system unfolds throughout the game, because it doesn't start off with all of these different things that you can do. One of the things that you hadn't touched on is that for your regular attacks, if you hit with a regular attack, you can gain some MP back. And so in this game, you don't have very much MP to use skills. But there's this kind of give and take of, are you going to do just a regular attack? And again, there's the idea of breaking the locks for the different enemies if you want to do that. So it gives you a lot of different options to play with. The other thing is that, yes, it has these combo attacks where you're using multiple characters, and it is like Final Fantasy X in that you can switch characters from your party at any time in the battle, and it doesn't take up any time in the battle. It's just a command that you can do and they switch, which when that was utilized later on in the game, I really enjoyed. I really liked having to switch out my characters because, not to kind of put the cart before the horse, I did find this game to be relatively easy outside of a few battles. But the battles that challenged me more, I enjoyed quite a bit more. And it was because I was switching out characters and using different types of skills and things like that. So
Yeah.
I do think it gives you a lot of different options. You do kind of, my experience is that I kind of fell into using a specific like sequence of different attacks. I didn't branch out too much. And maybe that's why it kind of felt a bit easy to me, is because, but the game also doesn't require you to grind. You know, it's pretty linear. Now that said, it has lots of collectibles and things like that. And actually we can get to that in just a second, but, I do think the battle system is a standout component of the game, but I think there were just a few things that I wish that they would have. Yeah, maybe more solo skills, something along those lines. Maybe if there was a way to, I don't know how exactly you would do it because I'm not a game designer, but to kind of take you out of some of the ruts that I found myself falling into. Because it wasn't quite a challenge to me. But again, the battles where I was challenged were my favorite in the game.
Yeah, I think it's sort of, in some ways, like a point of comparison is sort of like early on in the game, the first few hours of the game, especially when you're not used to all the systems and sort of like the timing and everything else, feel particularly rough.
Yeah.
But then it's sort of like once you learn and it reminds me, it's like everything's a Souls-like. No, but it reminds me of that sort of like that Souls-like progression where it's like everything's really hard until you learn what the game is trying to teach you. Like the game is teaching you how to play it, but once you sort of crack that nut, it just kind of like at that point in time, it's just like, well, I'm just gonna stomp all over everything,
Yeah. Because I'll say I barely used any items until the very end of the game.
Yeah,
and there's a whole like crafting, cooking thing, buying, and you talked about how the equipment isn't really a high point of the game. It's pretty much equipment is either better than what you've had or worse. There's not too much more outside of a few pieces of equipment.
I do feel like some of the accessories offer significant, but it's like a like significant passive or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, for true. Like, but like there, like this game is not strong on, like, I'm a big buildcraft guy.
Customization.
Yeah. Like one of the things I like about Destiny, Diablo, like, is like you sort of put all the pieces of the system, like the character, you utilize their moveset, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like one of my favorite things in Diablo is like to make like these builds that are sort of like these, like basically little gold Rubberg machines. And like, and
Rube Goldberg.
Oh, gee, did I say gold Rube? I did.
You did. Yes.
Rube Goldberg machines. Oh, they talk pretty someday. But these Rube Goldberg machines where you set up all the pieces and then through gameplay and everything, you just sort of unleash the combo. Like that's like, right. I'm a builder. I'm a tinkerer. I love that kind of stuff. That's why I like card games, because that's essentially what deck builders do. It's like, let me get all the pieces together and here, let me show you the trick kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that left a lot to be desired for me. Personally, like I remember that, but I think I just think like those, that's some of the in a lot of ways, like this, like those aspects really sort of, again, like, and we didn't even talk about the dungeon design, but like, I do want to get there in a second. I just wanted to reiterate, it's like the equipment stuff is fine. I'm not it's
that
good. It's passable. It's
right. Yeah. It's basic, but it's fine. I'm not going to ding it for that. There was potential there for more customization, but it's fine. I don't, it's not a big point to me. So in terms of dungeons and traversal, this was something that, a little bit of two minds of, because on the one hand, there were most of the dungeons throughout the game, there are puzzles for you to solve. And I'm like, okay, this is the stretch of the dungeon where I need to solve puzzles. And it would feel a little long to me. However, as the game progressed, I realized how many different types of puzzles there were throughout the game. And so I think it's actually really well designed. But my own personal opinion is that the game was just a little too long in a number of different areas. I would have wished it to be a bit tighter. So while in the moment it may not have been like the most fun thing, I actually really appreciate the amount of puzzles. Like, this game was not just get into battle, but it is like use your environment and solve these puzzles in order to progress throughout the dungeon. And I appreciate that. Like, I think it was really well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think too, like one of the things is just in the world in general. Like, it's one of those things. There's a lot of verticality in this game. You know, a lot of and it's not utilized maybe to the extent that I would want it to be. But like, there's a lot of sort of like layering and like, you know, falling down. Like, there's early on, like I can't remember that zone, but like there's a lot of like you go up and sort of like you navigate through the different tiles on the map by sort of like climbing up and, you know, dropping onto a different platform and stuff like that. And I always appreciated that kind of design. Like, I always thought that was always kind of fun. And so there's a lot of like, maybe it's not the most robust version of that, but there's a lot of verticality in the design. Like, they want you to sort of, you know, sometimes it is frustrating. Like, you know, if there's like multiple drops down a cliff and you go off the wrong one, it's like not, and you know, you sort of go all the way to the bottom and, you know, whatever, but but as a general rule, I do kind of I like that in theory, like more. Yes. I like that more often than not. How about I say it that way? Like, you know,
and it wasn't a lot of the same thing, which a lot of games kind of fall into, is like, oh, this is just another version of what you've done earlier. Like, no, I think there was plenty of variety, which is great. Another thing is that there are tons of collectibles throughout the game. I did not go out of my way to find a lot of them. I mean, again, it was similar to what I said with Donkey Kong Country. I did collect a bunch of them, but I didn't go out of my way all the time. Just, you know, when I would go to a new town, I'd kind of, you know, traverse the map and see what I could get into and see what chests I could open. And if there was something in the middle of the lake, you know, if there were people fishing, and there's a fishing game in this as well, you know, real basic, but it was still a lot of fun. But there's a lot of that in this game. Now, again, it got to the point where I'm like, okay, there's so much, like, I don't really care. I'm just going to continue in the game. I'm not going to be a completionist about it. But clearly they put a lot of thought into it. And it's not required.
And just even sort of like the way they would tuck away like treasure chests and stuff too. Like, it was like, there was a lot of really, like, I think when it comes like environment and level design, just and dungeons and all that, like it's really, really good. You know, again, it's one of the strengths of the game. I think it's like, it's one of the notables for me. So yeah, I just overall, like, you know, pretty positive on that. And it's like, you have in the notes here. And again, we're sort of relying on your experience because you've played it much more recently than I have. But it's like, you know, I remember as a general rule, the combat being pretty much a pretty delightful, but also some of those boss fights were just so much fun. Like, you know, and again, I think it has something to do with like the lock system and everything else. But it's like, those boss fights were really pretty gnarly. And some of those set pieces were really cool too. Like, just like, like just the one that sort of sticks with me is, and it's not, I don't remember it being like, it probably wasn't the most epic fight at the time, but I just remember like on the ghost ship, and there was like that leech thing or whatever it was. The
sea serpent looking thing.
Dude, I like that one a lot.
Yep. I agree. There were lots of massive bosses throughout the game that were really cool, and they felt different. You know, they each had their little thing that they were gonna do, and ways to fight them. So I think the bosses were done really well for the most part. Again, maybe a little on the easy side until some of the ending bosses. one of my favorites I died at a couple times until I kind of figured out, oh yeah, you switch out your characters, you do these different things, and then it ended up being my favorite boss in the game. But yeah, I think that's another kudos is great bosses.
I think in some ways, like we were talking about, like dungeon design and sort of like the puzzles, but in a lot of ways, I think like sometimes the bosses were actually like sort of puzzles. And again, it's all those pieces.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like all the locks and everything else. And yeah, it's, so I did it. There are a total of 21 bosses in Sea of Stars. Wow. And this includes main story, optional encounters, and post-game content bosses. Yeah. So that's what, the Google search says.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
so I probably did not face all 21, but
dude, cool. Dude. And I'm looking at some of the screenshots here and I'm just remembering some of this stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, that was sick.
Yeah. And again, part of that is because of the pixel art, you know, just how pretty everything is in the game.
Yeah.
It hits hard, you know, it's done really well. So
dude, I'm looking at a screenshot of the monkey boss.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I forgot like how cool that was. Dude, that was such a dude, that freaking art is just chef kiss, man. Dude, so good. So good. Anyways,
good stuff.
Yeah, dude, sick. But
memories.
Yeah, memories. Oh, geez.
So we've covered here visuals, we've covered mechanics, we talked about music. Now we're getting into some territory that can be some possible spoilers with story and characters and progression and tone.
Blow the horn.
So
man.
Okay, you don't want to tread lightly and give some thoughts before we run into spoilers?
I mean, sure. Well, okay, let's tread lightly. We'll do some spoiler-free 10,000 foot view kind of stuff. But yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about the story that it's not the best. And I agree that it is kind of by the numbers. And I say that it's fine. It's not a bad story. It's actually, to me, it's more of the characters within the story that fell flat to me. And then, well, I don't want to talk about the ending because that is spoilers. So I've said it before. I did feel that the game was a bit long in the tooth. And even that, you know, it's like what, 30 hours. It's not the longest RPG you'll ever play. But part of that is because the end of Act 2 felt like the end of the game in a lot of ways. And then Act 3 was pretty long. I mean, it was a third of the game. So that was my experience with the game. The other thing that I think we can talk about before we go into full-on spoilers is just that the tone of the game itself. So we don't have to talk about the story itself, but the overall tone is pretty jokey.
I was just going to say, it reminds me of like, you know, we all sort of have like fatigue with like the Marvel style dialogue.
That's good. Yeah. That's a good comparison.
And it's like, I think it's fine for the most part. Like I don't like, I think it's just, it's like offensively inoffensive for the most part, but I do sort of feel like, yeah, this is like, I do remember just sort of, and I think that's part of like the reason why I just kind of found and one of the things when I was listening to some, you know, other people talk about it was like, and I don't remember this, but I remember, a lot of other people again have pointed out there's a and they may have patched it out at this, but there's a lot of like grammatical, like just grammar errors in like the writing. So again, I don't remember that, but I do know that was kind of like people, and for all I know, that's been patched out. But I know that that was early on, that was a concern. But it's like I
think it has, because I didn't really realize any.
Yeah, I'm not a grammar Nazi though either. Like I'm kind of just like listen, if it's like you got like a weird, you know, like you put a possessive on something or you try to contract something that you shouldn't have, like, then I get like, okay. But
Sure.
whatever. But yeah, I just like, I think that's part of the like, the thing is like, it's just that Marvel style dialogue, like well, I guess this is a thing now, it's kind of like, it's like, okay, that Whedon-esque, like, Marvel era slop. And it's just like, it's tired and it's kind of boring. And it's fine. Again, I would just call it like offensively inoffensive, where it's not like, it's not like the most heinous thing I've ever read. It's just like,
right.
This was getting old. This is probably old when they wrote this a few years ago. And I think we're just at a point where it's like, ugh. So that's,
that's a really good way of putting it, because I think of a game like Super Mario RPG that this takes a lot from, and that has a very silly tone. But I love the silly, like, there's a charm to that silliness because they go all the way with it. Whereas this one, there are moments where they really want you to feel like, oh, this is a big bad, or emotional moments, which there's one that I think they actually do well. But I think it's hard. I don't think they quite stuck the landing in finding a balance between those.
Yeah, I think like it's one of those things like, okay, like Chrono Trigger as a touch point, as a point of comparison, right? Feels epic. And there are funny moments in Chrono Trigger, right?
Yeah, it is goofy at times. Well, it's that Akira Toriyama kind of goofiness. Also, Final Fantasy writing. Yeah.
But they're like, overall, like it's sort of like, it's one of those, like, it's kind of like, it takes itself seriously enough that you take it seriously, right? And the humor and the comedic beats feel on point, where it's like, this kind of leans almost in the other direction, where it's like, it kind of wants to be cute, it kind of wants to be charming, and then when it needs you to take it seriously, it's just like, I just don't buy it. Like, the buy-in isn't there. So to me, and again, a lot of that has to do with, and there's just some like moments where it's like, I mean, and we'll talk a little bit about this in the spoiler stuff, but there's some stuff where it's like, this is just kind of dumb. Like, fine, if this is what you want your plot device to, like, this is what you want your Deus Ex Machina to be, cool, I guess.
There were multiple times when that ended up happening. It was total Deus Ex Machina. Yeah.
And it's just like, it's one of those things where, and again, because like, it's so sort of like trying to be cheeky, that when it's like, it needs you to like engage it a little more earnestly, you're kind of like, cool story, bro.
Yeah.
Like, but
it's, I'll say also that it is difficult, and this will be the last thing I say before spoilers. It's difficult to take character death seriously in a world where there are literal ghosts inhabiting, an entire island. It just, like, some of the things, like, the pieces didn't fit to me quite as well. But that's all I will say before we move into some spoilers here. And unfortunately, it looks like we don't have our stinger loaded up in our
oh no,
our sound booth there. So
insert spoiler slop.
Spoilers. Something like that. I don't know. But there's
from here on out, there's going to be spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
So if you haven't played the game and you don't want it spoiled, get out of here. Go play the game.
Go on, get. We don't love you no more.
No,
that's not true. We still love you, but for your own,
yeah.
Just come back when it's all done.
Yeah. So I was talking about how there are some pieces that didn't quite fit together for me. And I think this happened a number of times throughout my experience with the game. Enough to where it was difficult. And I will say that I think it stems from the fact that I did not feel like I wrapped my head around what this world was and who the inhabitants of this world was.
I think though that's, and I would just sort of say, I think that's because you didn't get the true ending. Because like some of that, like gets unpacked for you in that true ending.
Okay.
But
okay. But I mean, even to the
But-
point where
but-
I didn't understand the different races within the world. I didn't fully understand like what is even ascension, what is going on, what even is the Sea of Stars outside of traveling between dimensions. Apparently kind of the main characters, or not the main characters, but some really powerful characters. Apparently they invented a everlasting serum, whatever, and so they were just kind of playing a game to see who wins.
And again, like I think that's just sort of like the well, and I want to go back to something though. It's like what I said is like if
Go for
you
it.
do like the true ending, some of this makes a little bit more sense. I think the fact though that you tie some of this stuff behind and like additional like, oh, you have to get all the collectibles, and because like to get the true ending
it's
is
everything.
It's like you have to have everything.
Yep.
And it's not that hard. Like it's not that hard. It's just a little tedious. And so I do kind of struggle with that to really understand this game, you have to, but even there, it's like, it's a little incoherent and it's messy. And it's like, it's kind of like, even there, it's just like, okay, I guess that's the thing. It's like this sort of, got the fleshomancer or whatever. And then, and you find out who he is and what he is. But yeah, it's basically like sort of like the whole game is this sort of like, what you find out is that there's kind of like not a bet.
Well, right.
But it is kind of a bet.
Same idea. Mm-hmm.
It's basically like sort of a cosmic wager between these two vastly powerful individuals, and the Fleshmancer is one of them, and then this other character. Well, it's the
alchemist,
the archivist.
There you go, archivist.
When you first meet him, and like when he joins your party. Well, that piece of him joins your party or something for a while.
Yeah. And that, again, that was very odd for me because he's supposed to be this all-powerful being, but he's like just as powerful as your other characters. But that just kind of plays into it. Like
part
power
of that
scaling is weird in the world.
Well, and it's like there's the whole thing with Garl, where it's like, he can't go like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to do too much of a story recap because like those are all over the place, and other people will probably do a much better job of the story recap. But it's like Garl is like, the game starts out and like you pick between Valer or Zale or Zeal. What is his name?
Yeah, you got it right. Zale and Valer. Yeah.
Okay. So you pick between one of them, and Valer is like, she's like a female monk type. She has a staff or like a spear kind of weapon that she uses. Zale uses like these daggers, and Valer is attuned. She was born on the winter solstice or whatever. Like, and so she's like got like moon powers, and Zale has like, he was born on the summer solstice, and so he has sun powers. And so it's like you have that kind of like that push and pull and everything. And then they grow up in this village, right? And they're best friends with this kid named Garl. And they kind of put themselves in a situation, and the kids like basically they
get in over their heads.
And at that point in time, like they get pulled out of the village and they go to this like this temple where it's like, and it's basically tutorialized training montages that sort of teach you some of the basic mechanics of the game and everything else. And then, but then like, the whole thing is like, and their whole thing while they're up there is like, oh, we need to get through this as fast as possible so we can get back to Garl. And they, and anyways, but like, in surprise, Garl joins you again, but like, he's just a dude. He's a dude that can cook.
Right. It's said multiple times, like basically this kid shouldn't even be here. Like these two are solstice warriors and they've trained for, a dozen years or whatever it is, for a decade. So they should be really powerful, but Garl is just as powerful as them mechanically in the game, that he just doesn't have the sun or moon powers that they have.
No,
which is
their whole solstice powers are sort of the keys to defeating the dwellers. And the dwellers are like these sort of like, there's the Fleshmancer, and like the dwellers are sort of like his chief lieutenants or his chief generals or whatever. Like they're the ones that are sort of like helping him to make a play on this world. You know, at conquering this world or whatever. And so it's just kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think the story is the weakest part of this game. And it's like, it's fine. It's passable. It's not like, again, it's offensively inoffensive. Like it's just, it's fine. But like the one thing you have in the notes is like, you sort of write down ludonarrative dissonance, you know, all powerful beings that are only slightly stronger than common mobs. Protagonist says the chosen ones are only slightly stronger than Garl, except when you need that to progress the story, you know, like, and then you put flight powers ? Cause you get the ability to fly at one point.
Right. And it does come back around and you actually get that ability at the end of the game. But there is a scene where it's a Deus Ex Machina. You're able to fly and it doesn't really explain why. Just you unlocked the power and it happens. And then, oh, well, you're not going to be able to do that. You only did that because of how dire the situation was. So it's kind of like, oh, it just doesn't feel right. Like, it's Deus Ex Machina. So.
But then the one you like where there's this like this very powerful dragon, and you wake him up with a giant loaf of bread. And this is kind of like where you're talking about like that, even that tonal dissonance where it's like, there's a lot of like, it's like, you're supposed to kind of feel the stakes of like, this is a world in peril, right?
Yes, exactly.
And then you're like, oh, let's do this dumb fetch quest where we wake up a dragon with a giant loaf of bread. It's like,
and then all of a sudden he's like, your best buddies with him. You know, he's like, oh, that was amazing. I can't imagine a better meal ever in the history of existence. And so now I'll take you anywhere you want to go, which is, and I contrast that, actually, this just came to me, with earlier on in the game, there is a city of mole people. And you go into the mines and you figure out, you know, there's this one mole character who found a pet and he's wreaking havoc down in the mines. And all that is really goofy, but it works. Like, I get it. He's this kid who got shunned and now he's taking it out on the people. Like, the tone of that part works really well. But then you bring it to this other part where you have seen this. I mean, it's like Normangunder? Is that what it's called in
Jormungandr
Viking,
like the world
Viking
serpent
lore? Yes,
Jormungandr,
exactly. Like, it is this
or
enormous freaking this enormous dragon that Garl has talked about earlier in the game of like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing to see this thing, to wake it up? And these mole people have been working for years and years and years to keep it asleep and everything. And so like when it comes to it and it's like, we're going to go into the volcano and just make a huge loaf of bread. And that's going to wake him up. And then he's going to be all cool. Like, he was supposed to be this thing that if he woke up, he was going to destroy the world, you know? And that's why they were working so hard to keep him asleep. So anyways, I'm rambling. I don't mean to like completely just continue harping on this. It's just emblematic of where I feel like there's a lot of potential that was missed. Like, that tone, that was just such tonal whiplash that it was hard to take seriously, where they had done it much better earlier in the game. So so that's my 2 cents.
It is said but Jormungandr.
Okay.
Or something along those. I hopefully didn't butcher it too badly, but something along those lines.
I mean, early in the game, he's this massive beast.
Like, he's sleeping. Yeah. And you like walk past him. Yeah. And Garl. And like, don't get me wrong. As a general rule, I like the cast of characters. Like, I like Garl, even though he's just a dude. Like, I think he's fine. But it is like,
he's fine.
He's fine. He's offensively inoffensive. Like, I mean, and that's the problem, where it's just like, Yeah.
I wish he was less Mr. Magoo. Like, it felt like everything bounced off of him.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. I mean, except for when it didn't.
Right.
There's a point where it very much did not bounce off him.
We're talking spoilers. Yeah. The end of the second act, he dies. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was a legitimately, I was like, I did not expect it to be as emotional, just because I was kind of like, I like him, but also he's just like, yeah.
And I think though, that's just that's sort of like, I was kind of thinking about this is like, cause I remember when I want to stay, not Stay of the Ark. Mike from Stay of the Ark really loves this game. It was one of his favorite games. But Into the Aether, the Brendan Bigley and Steven. They love this game as well, and they loved Garl.
Okay,
they loved him. Like, they thought he was great. And I remember when I was playing the game, I was like, he's fine. Like, I don't think he's like that. Like, but I think it's just like what you want. And I think some people, like, I think that, like, I do like the way that you described it as like, I just wish he wasn't so Mr. Magoo. Like, because he just feels inept and like a klutz and kind of like, but like, it's like kind of like
everything goes right for him.
Yeah, it's that Mr. Magoo.
Until, like you said, it doesn't. Yeah.
Until it doesn't. Like that Mr. Bean kind of like, just like slapsticky kind of like nonsense. And in comparison to the other characters, because you get like the cyborg girl, you get like the archivist does like his, like, he sends his little simulacrum. You get Beast, which I was like, and even stuff like that, like naming a character Beast, B''ST, like, like, just, stop. Like, that's only slightly less offensive than just like some made up name with too many apostrophes in it. Like,
sure. Yeah.
But it's just like, ugh, like, I don't, that's an overreaction, but I also just was like, that's very eye rolly to me, where I'm just like, ugh,
gotcha.
Like, just, okay. Like, Beast, like,
yeah. I'll bet it's a big hulking tank.
It's actually living alchemical glass. It's a spirit body, and it kind of, and like, don't get me wrong, I thought it was like cool, but it's like, and again, it's that tonal dissonance where it's like the stakes are supposed to be like really high, and these are like really super powerful warriors, and then you kind of do like this goofy slapsticky garbage with them, and it's like, you want me to take you seriously, but you don't. And it's like, and it's kind of like, it just sort of leans, I think, a little bit too much into that kind of like Marvel-esque dialogue, Marvel-esque style of writing. Right. And it's just like, I don't know. It kind of like, again, I think it like that as a general rule, it just does tend to be like a bit of a miss. Like, like I said, I didn't hate it. I was like, most of the time it was just like, it was like just pretty inoffensive, where I was like, whatever, this is fine. But like I said, I think like that's part of one of the reasons I didn't like really remember too much about the story was because it's just kind of like there, and it's not that interesting. Like, there are really interesting wrinkles, but they never, they don't do a really great job. And again, some of that, the stuff that actually sort of brings clarity is hidden behind the true ending stuff and that post game stuff. And I'm like, and that's kind of the problem, is that you actually do have some really interesting ideas, but you kind of hide them away behind all this extra like tedium. And that's like you said, I do remember sort of about halfway through the game kind of being like, okay, like, I'm kind of like ready to be done. Like, I'm still having fun, but like, this is getting a little long in the tooth. And like, the boss fights are pretty cool and everything else, but it's just kind of like, whatever. Like, it's not.
Yeah. So actually, let me go here for just a moment. You're talking about boss fights, and I mentioned earlier about my favorite boss fight in the game was the 3 bird characters that you have to fight.
Yeah.
And one of the birds uses this attack that lowers all of your HP to 1 for all 3 of your characters. And that was frustrating until I figured, oh, wait, you can switch out characters and then heal, but then, oh, the one you switched out isn't healed. And that was really cool. Okay, so I loved the boss fight itself, but I think that, like, who were those bird characters? Like, what impact did they have on the story? I mean, I know they served the Fleshmancer. That's about all that I know about
They were
them.
like guardians of an island for some reason, like and it just, but again, it's like, even there, it's like, yeah.
And I'll compare, and it's not fair to compare it to one of the greatest games of all time, Chrono Trigger. But with Chrono Trigger, you have this team of 3 characters that Magus, pairs up with in Ozzy, Slash, and Flea. And if they only showed up in one area, like, they might be similar, but they show up multiple times throughout the game, and they have character to them. Like, every time they show up, they're bickering with each other. The Ozzy runs away from you multiple times. Like, there's so much more. Like, the characters in Chrono Trigger
come back after they come back after they've powered up.
Yeah.
Like, you fight bigger, badder versions of these guys a few times. Yeah.
People talk about them, in the world. And so it, like, unfortunately with Sea of Stars, it felt like, and I have this in the notes, that it's kind of a monster of the week. And I get that a lot of video games do this. Okay. So I don't want to unduly just, what is it called? Muckraking here. I understand that this is a video game trope of, like, oh, you go to a new place and there's a new boss to fight, and so you fight the boss. But I think that it could be so much better if there were more hints of things going on in the rest of the world. And granted, Act 3 takes that's another dimension. Okay, you couldn't have really talked about that. I get it. That's fine. But if there was more cohesion to everything, rather than things feeling like they were sequestered into their own piece, and having these bosses that are awesome to fight, but that, like, kind of show up out of nowhere until you're in their area. And then it's like, oh yeah, this is the big bad. And then 10 minutes later, you're fighting it. And then you take it down. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Where's the next big bad?
And again, it's just that there's some of that tonal dissonance where it's like, in those moments where you need me to be like, you need it to be a little more earnest or whatever. You haven't done the necessary work to like get me to buy in.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And again, like, I think the writing's good. I think it's like, it's competent. You know what I'm saying? It's sufficient. Like, it's just not excellent. And that's kind of like the hard part, because, like, all the other pieces of the game really are excellent. Character design, the combat system, the music, like, there's so much good there. And then you have the story that's kind of like, it's fine. And that kind of, like, and again, like, I think if the story had been, and I'm not, like, listen, I'm not a writer. Like, I don't write stories. Like, we're critics, and we're not even, like, professional critics. We're lay critics, but we've read a lot. We consume a lot of media. We think about these things. This is kind of our wheelhouse. And the reality is, like, this story is just, it wants to punch above its weight, but it's just not there. Like, it is the weakest link, and it's good. It's fine, but it's not up to snuff with all the other pieces of the game. And I think that, like, and again, it's just, I use the term offensively inoffensive, where it's like, it's fine. It just, like, because it is sort of sandwiched by all these other really great and potent pieces, it actually feels worse than it actually is. In some ways. Like, it's kind of like, and
the potential is there.
Yeah. And I think some of this is, like, again, mileage may vary because tastes differ.
Right.
But I do think, like, especially, like, and it's hard. Like, you don't want to compare it to, like, Chrono Trigger or whatever, because, like, that's
what game is Chrono Trigger?
What Chrono Trigger is Chrono Trigger. And it's like,
that's it.
And, like, there are a lot of really potent and heavy stories in the RPG space.
Yeah.
I just don't think that this story, like, ultimately, like, this game feels good, but it's not transcendent. It's not timeless.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think if you take all those other pieces, so that sound design, the character building, like all that other stuff, and you tell a better story with that, like, then you've got something that's like could possibly withstand the test of time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But as is, I think like it's just like it's fine. It's like it's kind of like it's one of those things where, and I think that's like, you know, that even kind of like as we're talking about this, that actually kind of takes me back to like, you know, because I've become much more of a systems guy over the last few years. Like, I love systems. Again, the Rube Goldberg machine stuff. Like, I love to tinker.
Right.
I love to do all that stuff.
Right.
I think part of the reason is that because I think as a general rule, writing in video games kind of sucks as a general rule. And so it's like, I'm just not impressed with the stories that a lot of video games tell anymore, because it's like they're rote, they're old hat, they're sort of poorly executed. And this is, again, it's like, and it's not that they're actually bad. It's just, they're not really that good either. You know, it's like, they're like, if the nicest thing I can say about your story is like, it's a little bit better than competent, that's not enough. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean don't play it. It just means like the story's kind of like whatever. Yeah. I think it's fun. I think it's a romp. It like, I want to, like, I'm not trying to like say, oh, it's a boring slog. It's just, it's a little rote. It's a little trite. It's that Marvel writing. And it's just like cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fun, but it's not great.
Yep. We haven't exactly said it, but I do have this in the notes, is I do also think that the protagonists themselves, Zale and Valere, are flat. Like, they are cardboard. I did not get a sense that they were heroes in any sense. I felt like they were along for the ride in the way that other silent protagonists, like you think of like a Mario or a Link, they have grit to them. They have a spirit of adventure. They have, even though they're silent, you get a sense of who the characters are. I didn't get a sense of Zale and Valere at all. Just that, oh, we're here. We'll do what we need to do, I guess. Like, they were just along for the ride the whole time, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think that's actually why, like, because Garl dies, right?
Right.
I think that's why Garl's death feels a little tragic, because like he actually is in a lot of ways like the driving impetus. Like he's, and so that's like, but yeah, but again, I think that's just like kind of like the writing is just like, it's fine. Yeah. It's just like, I also think like the fact that there's like no, and I don't want to be too nitpicky, right? Because again, I think it's better than merely competent. It's good, but it's just not. It's kind of good. I don't want to be too generous to it, because I don't think it's. But it's kind of like there's no meaningful distinction between the two. Like it's like you pick one,
no, not at all.
It pretty much like. All they do is they just swap the dialogue. So instead of Zale saying the thing, Valere says the thing. It's like they don't have like a unique flavor or like, to their text, or it's like, I think you can do that. You can sort of like have them functionally sort of, but like they just feel like, vanilla sort of protagonists.
Yeah.
It's like they're a little bit better than a Cypher, but not by much. Again, it's the writing. The writing is just not good. It's better than competent. And I keep saying it's not good. It's not good enough. Like it's good. It's just not good enough. So
it's fine. In my mind. Okay, so I've got two things I want to hit really quickly. So the first one, I don't want to take up a ton of time with this, but there is a character in this game that you get pretty early on. Her name is Teeks, and this character gives you, she's the archaeologist, I think, and so you find collectibles, and she tells you stories of the world. I did not enjoy stopping at a campsite and reading for 5 minutes in order to get the lore of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I understand mileage may vary, so I'm curious. Did you stop and do that throughout the game?
I think I did it just. I think you needed to do that for a trophy or something. I think I might have done it for the trophy.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, it was like towards the end of the game, I was like, oh, I have 6 of these artifacts that I can show her. And then I read stuff. And I'm like, this isn't bad. Like, these are cool stories. I didn't want to stop what I was doing just to read for 5 minutes.
But again, the writing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I just wanted to address that since we're on the episode. Okay. So I do think it would behoove us. This is not in the notes, but in previous episodes that we've done along these same lines, and we are attempting here to equip the church to engage with the video game medium wisely and well. And so I have to ask, is there anything we can, that is distinctly from a Christian perspective, that we can say about this game? So what comes to mind for me is that is not kind of the day-to-day interactions throughout most of the game, but it is the underlying story that emerges at the end, that it is this ultimate kind of game between these two characters that have become eternal. And that reminds me of something like Greek myths, where you have Athena and Aphrodite and whatever, and they have their own city, Mars and Sparta, I'm probably getting it all mixed up, where they have their city states and they go to war, and so they help they come down and they help the people, and they try to see who's going to win. And so what comes to mind for me as I think about it from a distinctly Christian lens is that I do think it makes the point that once those two characters become immortal, that they lose purpose in their life. In this game, at least there's never presented a greater deity than these characters, and to my recollection, it was pretty vague on how they even came up with this immortality potion that they had. But you see the archivist go off in one direction with his immortality, and the Fleshmancer basically gets bored and just wants to wreak havoc and cause chaos.
The Fleshmancer, it's kind of like he turns to just like kind of like cruelty and like just domination.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's with his like, and it's so, yeah, I don't know.
I think it also, while you're thinking, I think it also mirrors some of the other characters, and I don't recall their names, but Brugavis or whatever his name was, and then the other girl, I can't remember her name, the woman.
Yeah, the two other solstice warriors, the only 2 other solstice warriors at this time,
right? And how they lose hope in what they're doing as well.
They're it wasn't even lose hope. It was like they just kind of, I guess it is they lost hope, but it's like they just wanted to be free. Like, it's like, no, we went out from under this. Like, it's almost like this isn't our fight. And they actually try to like pull Zale and Valera. And again, the only reason I know this is because I watched some recap videos and I read some things.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like, again, I don't remember this on my own. So like they're trying to like sort of like pull them out of the fight too and be like, it's not fair. And in a way, they're right. It's not fair that these kids give up most of their lives to fight. Like actually they are in some ways very right. And it's like, especially given the context of what we know, that these kids, right, these chosen ones are sort of like thrust in this cosmic battle by 2 bored demigods.
Okay.
Who are just doing this for like, especially with like the Fleshmancer, Aphorus, I think his name is, or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Like he's just bored and he's petty and he's mean. And Rashawn, for some reason, that's the archivist, right? Or the whatever. Like they kind of have this like, well, we'll just kind of like, he has this like hands-off approach. And it's just like, I don't know, like, there's something about like that sort of like that indifference and that pettiness and that just kind of like it's meaningless. And so it's like, and again, like the other, like Brugovs and Brugaves or whatever, and the other one, like what they're doing, like ultimately, like, we know as Christians, right, that like you're given gifts to use them for the greater good. Like, you know, your strength is meant to serve and protect other people. Like your gifts are meant to be a blessing. And so like the solstice wars, like we look at it and we sort of say like, no, like, yeah, you've been given this power, this ability to fight evil in a unique way. You absolutely have an obligation. But in a world absent of the Christian God, right, where it's just like, it's like, it's almost like might makes right. So it's like, you kind of like, it's like, why should I pour out my life for this world? And again, I think even the world, like some of the cruelty and the carelessness that they see there, you know, it's like, it's almost like, hey, you guys, fine, like whatever, let the Fleshmancer have you. Like, we're out, deuces. Like we can go figure this out somewhere else. You know, it's like, and especially when you find out that because like this world that they're saving, or worlds, because they cross the sea of stars, right? You know, to another. They're just two sort of like nodes, or you know, realms within a multiverse. And that the thing is, Rashawn and a Forest, or I'm looking up his name.
Yeah.
But the Fleshmancer and the Archivist have been doing this for millennia, for eons. They've just kind of been like waging this sort of like, it's not even a battle, it's not even a fight, it's just like this sort of like board experiment. And it's just like, I don't know, like, and there's even a like, there's just like, there's a lot of like, I don't know, even the hand waving of like that cruelty in a lot of ways. I'm just
I think actually that's pretty powerful what you're getting at, because we see in this story that if the deity, if the God of this world is nihilistic, then there's no point in you. Like we because we live in God's world, in Yahweh's world, we have an innate sense of justice, and this game uses that sense of justice without giving you a reason for it, right? Like, you know that you should, as Zale and Valaire, save the world and save the, you know, the different worlds that there are, and you know that the Fleshmancer is evil, but under the premise that that these deities are, you know, it's just a game to them, that there's not really any point in anyone's life in these worlds that have kind of sprung up, and all these different creatures that have sprung up. If they were not imbued with any purpose, then really who's to say that joining the Fleshmancer is wrong? Who's to say that, oh, I just want to forget everything, I'm out, see you later? Who's
to say wrong? That the domination or the destruction of millions of lives means anything? Because in that construct, it doesn't. Like, because like the reality is like all of these peoples exist merely as experiments.
They're just pawns.
They're just they're lab rats.
Right. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Man, that's good. And so contrasting that, we see again the God we serve, Yahweh, and we see his character and we see his love and his grace and his mercy, and that does imbue us with purpose. Even before we could see it, you know, even when it was just a mystery to the Israelites, now we see it more fully in Jesus Christ and what he's done for us. Like, that gives us purpose, that gives us justice, that satisfies both justice and goodness and love and mercy. And it gives us purpose and mission. That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. I'm glad we could have that conversation.
Yeah, I do think that, you know, and again, sort of like just kind of looking at some things, there is something that I think is important. And again, it's like, even though Valaire and Zale are sort of like the weapons against, like, again, that solstice, that lineage, okay, like they were born with this unique power to attack the dwellers, to confront, like the reality is like they actually, need other people to help them along the ways, though. Like,
Okay.
even they are not fully sufficient.
Mm.
And so it's like, maybe sometimes like the friendship is important. Like community is important and powerful.
Mm.
Like, I don't know that we could draw the same conclusions that I think like maybe, and again, I don't know that we can draw the same the same conclusions that this game was. Like, I think they're probably banking on like, that like, it's kind of like the power of friendship will save us all. But it's like,
sure.
Like, but I do think there is something there where it's like, especially for us as finite human beings, like, we aren't meant to be lone rangers. Like, ultimately, like all glory and all victory will go to Christ. But like in our day-to-day engagements, in our day-to-day sort of like contesting with the world, I actually think we need to remember that like we're not called to do that alone.
Mm-hmm.
We're called to do that in community with the power and support of the people around us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that it is important, primarily your local church,
Yeah.
So it is something there where it's like, because it's like, I think like a lot of this it's that sort of that humanist schlock where it's like, like sort of like, for the greater good, but it's like, well, okay.
Right.
Yeah. But you actually completely lack any sort of like metaphysical underpinning to sort of say like, why is the greater good worth pursuing? Why is that? Why is it even a good? You're metaphysically bankrupt. So it's like, I don't want to hear it from you. Like, it's like, yes, I believe that we should be doing anyways. I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole too much.
Sure.
But I do think like, it's just one of these things where, and maybe that's, again, kind of like, maybe that's kind of actually the shame about Garl, because like, it's like, he is this Mr. Magoo type character, but he's also like sort of like the heart and soul of this thing. Like, he's the one who sort of pushes, and really like, but yeah, anyways, it's just wasted opportunities. But yeah, it's just one of those things. And again, it's not a bad game. It's a really good game. It borders on being great, but unfortunately, like, and it's not even sort of like, I think like sort of, it's like, we've had, I think, probably comparable conversations to like Near Automata or Automata.
Okay.
No, it would be Automata.
Yeah. Automata. Yeah. You got it right.
Like automaton, automata. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why I always want to say automata. But Near Automata, like, one of it, like, we love that game because it's sort of like this immersive exercise in existentialist, and like, but you come to the same conclusions, but like, it's just done so much more artfully. Now it's a lot more angsty and like,
and
sad
there's
boy
content in it that's not, that's weird and skeevy.
Yeah.
Which this game has none of.
That is a definite positive, is that I think overall Sea of Stars is actually pretty wholesome, like across the board. Like, and I do like that. I like that there's no like sort of edginess or whatever. I just, like I said, I do think that the biggest problem is it's just like, it's kind of got this like, oh gee, shucks, did I do that kind of like energy. And I'm not about that. So
I largely agree. And as we kind of draw this to a close, I don't really have any final thoughts. We've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say about it. In terms of whether it's a pass or a play, here's my struggle, is that in my experience, my son actually started playing the game before I did, and he really enjoyed it. He hasn't finished it, but he hasn't come back to it. He's played a bunch of other stuff. And so I get from that perspective of like, okay, if you haven't experienced very many of these types of games, I get why this would be much more compelling. The problem is that I think I would rather my son play Mario RPG and Final Fantasy VI first before playing Sea of Stars. And so while this game is not a pass, I just think it's like I'm trying to think of even what are the categories, because it doesn't rise to a should play for me. Is there a can play? I don't know, because I don't want to totally push it off to the side.
Yeah,
it's just that I feel like there are more. I would say play some of the best before you come to this.
It's a play, and it's probably like it's a play, but it's a caveated should play. How about that? Where it's like, I think if you love the genre, you're versed in like JRPGs, like this is a great love letter to that. Like there's lots of like really cool callbacks and like send ups and just like all sorts of like cool stuff where it's like you get to sort of see this in some ways, like again, this love letter sort of homage thing where it's like they take some of the best parts of some of our favorite classic JRPGs and they put them together pretty beautifully, like pretty masterfully in a lot of ways. I think like narratively, it's just like it's, I would probably, like, if you had to like give it a number ranking, I'd probably put this at like an 8 because I think it's really strong.
Okay.
But it's like it's an 8 that probably should have been a 10. you know what I'm saying?
Right. And there is a subjective element to this that I went into the game expecting it to be great because it was highly, highly praised when it first came out. And I understand for an indie game, it is really good. But
and I think if
you set your expectations, then I think you'll have a better time with it.
I think it's a pretty great JRPG, but it's that heavily caveated thing where it's like, it doesn't go toe to toe with the greats, but it honors them in a way that I think is really pretty special. And it does
some things really, really well.
And I would just call it a heavily caveated should play. Like if you aren't super entrenched in the genre, like, go play Chrono Trigger, go play Super Mario RPG, go play Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, like go play some of like the actual greats, like the high water marks. And if you like those, you're probably going to really enjoy this. I think it's going to be a really good time, but again, I don't think it's not in the same waters.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So heavily caveated should play from me.
There you go. I agree. That's good. That's good. I have had fun talking about Sea of Stars.
Yeah.
This is a good episode. And again, I feel like we covered everything, at least everything that I wanted to cover with the game. So I feel like it was pretty thorough.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I like this game a lot. And I know that like we were kind of like bagging on it pretty hard there, but it's like, I think that's the thing is that like, it's so good in so many levels, in so many ways that when it drops the ball, it's actually really like tough. Cause you're like, oh, like
you could have been a contender.
You could have been a contender, but but I think it is time to start winding down and wrapping up and all the other things, or as let's start landing this plane. Let's get the landing gear out, baby.
Here we go. All right.
So, Josh, do you have any shout outs, my friend?
Yeah, I have a shout out to, and we shout him out pretty regularly here, but Portro, the man, the myth, the legend, the wonder from down under, Nicholas Porch. He recently retired his podcast, at least for the time being. And so he is you dubbed him something in the Discord.
I think I called him the Pony Emeritus because I was thinking like Pony Pastor Emeritus.
Right, right. Yeah. Yes, I'm familiar with that term. We have,
but I like
Elder
I like
Bro
Elder
Emeritus.
Emeritus, but you have Bro Emeritus here. I like that as well.
The Bromeritus Pony. So just shout out to him. Even though, we didn't wrap up Dude Mons with a nice little bow, it was fun while it lasted. And dig it, man.
you
Always a
know,
pleasure.
yeah, I think like Nothing New Under the Porch was a fun little experiment. It was kind of like the Wild West. And I think like one of the things I really appreciate, and sort of I would encourage people to go back through some of that content. Like, you know, again, mileage may vary, but I think what was really interesting about it, and what's just really interesting, is like Nick was just like playing in the space. Like, you know, that's sort of like the example of playing well was like he was just kind of having fun, like sort of riffing off this stuff and like you know, just yeah. And so yeah, and I'm sure that we will have him on here from time to time.
We'll figure it out.
We'll make it happen, because like I think yeah. Well, and he's a pony. So yeah.
Exactly.
Stay golden, pony boy.
There you go. There you go. All right. You got any shout outs?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out Wesley Ray, the
Henshin Dad himself.
The Henshin Dad himself. Actually for something cool, not for sucking at life and beating me in the Fantasy Critic League that doesn't matter. I'm not bitter about that at all, in the slightest.
I can tell. Yeah. That's very
but anyways, Wesley and I share we share a love of tasty beverages of the caffeinated variety. Like you and I share a love of tasty beverages of the alcoholic variety, right?
Yeah.
We like those. Wesley and I share a different bond where it's like we talk about energy drinks that we like, or like when sodas do custom flavors or limited time flavors. Like a lot of times we sort of like we go back and forth there. But he sent me a PM this last week, and he was like, Pepsi has released prebiotic sodas. He's like, it comes in standard Pepsi flavor and then a cherry vanilla. And he was like, he's like, these are actually really good. So on his recommendation, I stopped at my local Walmart. I grabbed a case of each, and dude, these things kind of low key rip. Like they are fire.
Nice.
Like it's not like this is going to be like, I'm not going to rearrange my life and make it all about like the prebiotic Pepsis, but I think both of them are pretty good. They only have 5 grams of sugar in them. They've got like 3 grams of salt. They're only 30 calories. They've got 3 grams of soluble fiber in them. I think 38 milligrams of caffeine. So they're a little less than a half a cup of coffee, you know, as a standard rule. Like, and they're actually pretty good. They taste pretty good. Like, I'm not really a Pepsi guy. I do tend to sort of be more of like, I'm like Coke Zero, kind of like, but these are pretty fire. So well done, Wesley Ray. Thank you for putting that on my radar, guy.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, shout out to Wes. And is someone else here?
Here comes a new challenger.
That's right. We got a new challenger.
Is somebody else here?
We do our personal challenges every first episode of the month, where we challenge each other to do something to get better. We're not just about beating down backlogs, but we're about
be sorry, be better.
And there's no try, there's just do. And so let's talk about what we've done over the past, month here. My last challenge was more consistency in family worship. There has been a little bit more consistency, but I'll be honest, the sickness that has thrown us for a loop over the past 2 weeks, and the busyness has made that quite difficult. Now, I fully recognize that is not an excuse. That is simply an explanation. So I need to get better at that for the sake of my family. Yeah. I think you're reading a book on that, so that's great. So that's what I have.
I will be reading a book. Challenge. I haven't actually.
Yes.
I mean, dude, what is it? Is it Donald Whitney? Is that the family worship book? Like, that's a great little booklet, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. In terms of over the next month, I actually started something. I couldn't think of much for this month. I actually have written in the notes, just stay alive, because of the nature of what we've been going through the past couple of weeks. Again, just busyness, not busyness and sickness. But actually, I just started something today that I kind of talked with my wife about a few days ago, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start it. So we've recently started, and I think it's going to be Wednesdays for the foreseeable future, of taking one of my kids out to lunch. So coming home from work and just individually going out to lunch with one of them each week. And then after I'm done with all three kids, then the following week I'll come and relieve Samantha so she can take one of the kids out for lunch and kind of do that for 3 weeks. Just so that we spend tons of time as a family. We're homeschooled. That's just what happens. But to have that individual time with mom and dad is also important. So that's something that we've started, and you can keep me accountable that if next month you're like, hey, how you doing with that? I'm like, oh yeah, totally forgot about that. Well, then I'm a turd. But that's not going to happen because I'm challenging myself to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. I like that. I like that a lot. Like, I have these memories of being a kid, and my growing up, my family did not have a lot of money, but it was like birthday, but like for a number of years, like on my birthday or around my birthday, like we would get special breakfast from dad. Like, so, nice. And it usually meant just going to like McDonald's and getting like McDonald's flapjacks. But like when you're like 7, 8, 9, 10, like that feels like, and you don't get it all the time, that feels like kind of magical. So that's pretty sick. I like that. I like that a lot. Like we kind of have like, I have that kind of built in, and Byron's only 3, but it's like he's home on my days off, and like Megan and I like, and so he's going to go to like, she teaches at a small Christian school. And so he's going to go there. But like, we've even talked about it. It's like, like we're going to give him sort of a pass occasionally to just be like, hey, like I need a day off. Like, as long as it's like, as long as you don't abuse this dude, like it's cool. And I think some of those will just be like, hey buddy, I got the day off tomorrow. Like, you want to like play hooky, like stay home with dad. Like, like we'll run out, we'll get some lunch, we'll, maybe stay home, play some video games, do some stuff around the house or whatever. As he gets older. I like that a lot though, Josh. I like that a lot. I think that's really cool.
You'll get a kick out of this just because you started by talking about how, that was more rare when you were a kid. When I sat down with the family and told them that I wanted to do this, either Sunday or Monday, I don't remember. The first thing that Ollie said was that was going to be expensive to be taking us out for lunch. And I'm like, dude, I told him, like, yes, it's going to add up, but it's worth it. Like, there are some things you want to spend money on, and having those individual relationships with each of my kids is one of those things. And I just thought that was hilarious.
It might turn into one of those things that like, hey, like, okay, like maybe it'll be like, instead of every week, maybe we'll, after a while we'll kick it out to like, every other week or whatever. Like, it's like, but whatever. No, like, but it's like you said, like, it's totally worth the expenditure.
Yeah.
Like, 100%. Yeah.
It was like $10 at Mickey D's this afternoon. But I also didn't have much of an appetite because not feeling the greatest, but it was great conversation. So
yeah, dude. I mean, $10 at McDonald's is my order. So, but I also like am just a walking dumpster fire.
Well, and I didn't get that $9 burger that they're talking about.
The Arch Burger did you see the thing where the CEO like is like this product, and he took like this like the world's smallest bite out of it, and I was like, my dude, it's cool. That's fine that you don't eat McDonald's food. But
why are you in front of a camera?
Why are you in front of a camera, my guy? Yeah. So yeah, as far as personal challenges on my end, the sort of the long-standing one is, again, we're just trying to sort of not buy any video games this year. Again, the variances that I'm sort of like, is like if I get birthday money or something like that. So it's not that there won't be any acquisitions at all. And of course, like podcast games, but
sure,
it just means that like I'm really trying to scale back like my spending, especially on video games. So still haven't bought any video games. So
Nice.
so we're good there. The only other thing is, like I said, and I've mentioned it several times, but like we've committed as a family, Megan and I decided that March, like just extraneous expenditures, like we're just not doing it. So there was some stuff that like we had planned, like we did get Byron some like Easter stuff, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But we didn't go nuts, but like, but yeah, as a like, so it's like, it's just like, but it's raining in all the other stuff. And so like that's, when we sort of touch base in April, sort of talking about this again, like hopefully I'll be able to say like, yeah, we stuck to our guns here and we didn't. And it's been tough, dude, because like, it's like there are things I'm like, I would like to get, like today at work. It's like sometimes when I'm thirsty, I stop at Sheetz, and I get some bottles of water. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. Like, so I made sure that like when I came home, I filled up my water bottle and took it with me,
Nice.
So yeah, but it's like, it's just like little, like the micro adjustments there where it's like, it's like, it's going to take a little bit of adjustment here.
Yeah.
So, and it means like, and it doesn't mean that like, hey, like, so like I buy 12 packs of energy drinks, like when I need them. So it's like, but it's also like, I'm not going to go to the store and pick up singles. Like, now it doesn't mean like, hey, if we go grocery shopping and I need a couple, like I'll grab them, but that's not, again, that's sort of like, it's not, we're not getting, I don't know. Does that make sense? Where it's like,
I think so. So. You're justifying it. Yeah.
So I don't know. Cool. But yeah, we're just trying to minimize a lot of like the just like, oh, I'm going to stop at Sheetz and get a candy bar. I'm going to stop here and get, pick up this. It's like, no, we're going to like rein that all in. So
Awesome.
Anyways, so that's what we're doing.
Awesome. I dig it. Well, we've had a good conversation about this Sea of Stars, about indie games, about RPGs, and then our challenges as well, and where we want to get better. We're not just critiquing things; we're critiquing ourselves as well. But you
don't be sorry, be better.
Yeah, you had mentioned pulling out the landing gear for this one, and I think that's just about ready.
Cool. Yeah, let the rubber hit the tarmac then. And so that being said, like Josh, it is time to land the plane. But if people want to get a hold of us, if they want to contact us, tell us how smart we are, or if they want to be mean, I don't like that part so much. But hey, like I appreciate honesty. If they want to tell us how dumb they think we are, where can they get a hold of us to do that?
There's tons of ways. We're all over the internet, but you can check out our link tree. That's linktree.com/the Backlog Breakdown. That has it has links to all those different ways you can contact us. Tell us about your experience with Sea of Stars. Tell us where we were wrong, where we were right, and give us your thoughts as well. Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Well, that being said, folks, I think we have done the things, and now what should they do, Josh?
Guys, keep beating down your backlogs and we'll keep breaking down the benefits.